Hey, welcome everybody. Thanks for joining us on our last show of 2023. Really appreciate it and glad to have so many of you back. I know a lot of you registered for the whole year, and so it's been a pleasure having you all this time. And for those of you that may be joining us for the first time, we hope you'll enjoy the show today. We are having a little bit of a technical difficulty on the back end with our topics, which normally show on the slide for all of you to see what's upcoming, but rest assured, we got it covered. So I'm just going to help us make sure we move along and get the topics covered. I'm going to start first off with our sort of around the horn and get some of the really hottest things that are kind of being discussed in the industry that are out there right now. And I'm going to throw it over to Blair first. Tell us a little bit about kind of what McDonald's is doing. That's not necessarily unique, but it definitely applies to the fitness industry. Go ahead, Blair.
Yeah, it's certainly not in the fitness industry, but it applies to the fitness industry. And they're doing, from now to the end of the year, they're doing their free French fry Fridays. What's significant about this is to get the free French fries, you have to have a $1 order, but you have to do it through their app. In order to do it through their app, you have to sign up for their loyalty rewards program. And it looks like early results are that it's really working well. So there's some implications here as we all want people to use our app. And for some places, you have to have it for check-in. But for those that aren't, I don't know. I'm already kind of trying to come up with different ideas of how to make this work. So there's something there. I think it's really smart what their marketing team is doing.
Yeah, I do too. I know I go to a bagel place and a gas station that offers something like that. And I don't think I've ever redeemed a reward, but something motivates me to go back there.
Well, I'll tell you what.
Using their app, right?
In Arizona, we got Dutch Bros coffee. The first Tuesday of every month, sticker day. And people go on that day and load up to get those stickers. You get one sticker per drink, and nobody wants to miss sticker day.
That's great.
It's always the magic free or 50% off. It's just a magic word.
Yeah, that's right. All right, Sarah, what's on the top of your mind?
Well, I got two things on my mind. I got certifications around my mind. They are so down for everyone in every format, from NASM and IHRSA and the ACE and SCW. It's just certifications are down from where they used to be. And we're at a shortage of trainers and instructors. And then another thing that's happening is that people who already are certified are not renewing. So somehow we've got to keep reinforcing that we need these certified instructors. Maintain your certification and your education. And then the other thing that I thought was really cool was Crunch Fitness is trialing this really cool thing in like 8 different cities where you use your palm to check in, and it checks the veins in your palm. And I guess it's better than logging in when you're walking through the airport to get in using your fingertip or using your eyes to unlock your phone. But I thought that was really cool. And it seems to be working in New York and California, and they got one in, I think, Boston.
I'm wondering on the certification thing though, I wonder if that is there less demand from people wanting to be trainers, or are there more people doing training that are not certified, like maybe through online or
more people
stuff like that,
or more people leaving the industry?
Yeah,
I think Bill's got it. I think a lot of people left the industry out of necessity. They didn't go online. Clubs were closed. What do I do?
Sure.
I started doing something else.
Yeah. Okay, Bill, what about you? What's hot for you right now?
What I had on my mind was biometrics, but Sarah took 2. She took, she overlapped on one of mine. So,
and
the palm reading thing is great, and that Planet's doing with Amazon Palm. But we've all seen clear, through the airport with the eyes or the fingers, and we all see more and more biometrics, and it's just going to get easier and easier and easier. Airports are doing it, but why does it matter? It makes it easy and seamless, no barrier to access control. But recently we had some Planet Fitnesses in Michigan where somebody joined under a fake name, 3 suspects, and they wound up doing the locker room burglary thing. But they walked in legit. They had a membership, but with a fake name. So biometrics is a way to increase security and access control, but it's also a reminder with these Planet Fitness thieves, because people have done that forever. Hit the locker rooms, targeted club after club on the highway, boom, boom, boom. Stealing valuables out of the lockers. So when you enroll people, check the ID with the enrollment. When you bring in check the ID in the meantime before you have your biometric set up. Because man, locker rooms are just an easy target. People put their Rolexes and their jewelry and their wallet, you know. So keep your security up and be looking at biometrics.
Yeah, good advice, Bill. Well, you've got the first big topic as well, talking about shifting markets. Why don't you go ahead and tell us what your thoughts are?
Man, I preface it with my good friend Rick Caro's advice. You know, we are not financial analysts, and we're not brokers, and we're not selling anything, and we're not opining on thoughts. We're just sharing some things that are publicly available on some of these things. But a lot going on. We've had, you know, Nautilus and F45 have some stuff going on with the FCC. We've had Bar 3 acquiring Bar Code. We've had Oura Ring now getting into stress management. We've got all these different things happening in our space. Peloton's doing some stuff now where they're trying to rent the equipment, not even sell it. You know, they're doing massive discounts. Lululemon, you know, has shelved, or, you know, some of the reporting says dumped, but I'll call it shelved for now. Mirror, and they've shifted over to working with Peloton. Tonal this past year in April got a new CEO, and a lot of athletes invested in Tonal, and, you know, they're recreating themselves. You know, LeBron James and Jay-Z had a climbing machine that they backed that's going through some transition. So this whole connected fitness category is still everybody trying to figure out where they play, and it's very challenged and struggling now. And they're all trying to figure it out, because there's a there there. There's a there with connected fitness, and they all know it. We know it, and all these parties are trying to resolve that and figure it out. And if you don't subscribe to TechCrunch, that's a good legitimate source of information for what's going on with technology companies, public and private. But it's a shifting world, and we need to play our part in connected fitness. I think Blair and Brent, you've got some thoughts on Apple Fitness Plus with Anytime and some other things, but that's right in the connected fitness space. I'll kick it over to you guys.
Yeah, you know, I wish I'd have had the foresight to take a look at the last earnings report. I just saw a summary of it, last quarterly earnings report from Lifetime, from Planet. I think the cliff notes are that they were pretty good, right? Especially I think Lifetime, and that has me, you know, like all the stuff Lifetime is doing is certainly they're focusing on some connected, but it's really about, you know, member experience and what they're doing on site and how they're. I think there's a there. It's not as there as being a person and working at night, you know. That's the beauty of our business. You can't outsource your damn exercise. You got to still freaking do it, and you got to do it in a way that you're willing to do it, and do it continuously.
And you can't outsource.
Well, the problem is, the problem is that we thought everything was going to bounce back. So these companies invested in a lot of stuff, like Stages invested in all those outdoor type of bicycles for cycling programs, and then boom, they lose millions. They're not bouncing back, they're crawling back, and they've got to deal with these investments that they thought were going to last. And what I think is going on with Lifetime, I think it's really cool. I think they're kind of copying Midtown, and they're doing those hotels and they're building a Lifetime hotel now. They're trying different things. I mean, what are you going to do? Just go back to 2019? You can't.
Yeah, they actually are doing residences, full-on residences.
Yeah,
community, and even.
But they've always had a proclivity toward the real estate component of their properties, right? Yeah. So you know, they've always had a real estate.
Yeah, they're doing some really cool stuff. Yeah.
They are. Yeah. Well, Blair, since we've already kind of segued to talking about Apple Fitness Plus, I should say, and Anytime, why don't you go ahead? We'll change the order up a little bit since we're on that subject. Why don't you go ahead and take that, and then I'll come back to Sara.
Yeah, so the press release about Anytime Fitness. By the way, I just think Chuck Runyon is one of the smarter dudes, man. I mean, he tends to stay low key out there, but I don't know. Guy is on top of stuff, you know. So they got to deal with Apple, where starting December 1st, all Anytime Fitness members will have a free Apple Fitness Plus subscription. Prospective members that are maybe wanting to become a member, if they sign up, if they if they join for at least 13 months, they'll get Apple Fitness Plus free for 90 days. On the other hand, if you're an Apple Fitness Plus subscriber now, but not an Anytime Fitness member, and you sign up at Anytime Fitness for at least a 13-month membership, you'll get your first month for no charge. Then on top of that, they've integrated the Apple Fitness content into the Anytime Fitness app, made available to all their coaches and trainers, so that when they're customizing workouts, they can use the Apple Fitness content and customize workouts for you and create the digital workouts for you. Now, okay, I don't have an Apple Watch, so you're the guy. And so I'm not that familiar with Apple Fitness Plus, but as we were talking about those other technology companies that sort of their technology is sort of the Peloton and the one thing. Apple's a tech company, man. They are the tech company that are have segued into fitness instead of just building out a Fitbit or so there's something that that Apple's going to do better than anybody. So
yeah, I would agree with that. I think I mentioned to you guys when I was the interim for IHRSA for that period of time, I was having some pretty deep discussions with Apple about their Fitness Plus product. And it wasn't quite out on the market yet. They were still sort of putting the finishing touches on it. But I was impressed. And to your point, Blair, if you're looking for somebody to partner with on content and from a technological standpoint, Apple will be a good one to partner with. I think I was impressed with what they had to offer then, and I'm sure it's even better now. I haven't seen it in the last year probably.
Yeah.
I just want to point out that I have an Apple Watch and Blair doesn't.
Well, I could see it right there. I know. I could see what you were doing.
Was it that obvious that I have one?
Yeah, you and Sara both. Blair and I are old school.
I have. I still have like a single-use device for my wrist. It just tells time. Right.
And Brent uses a BlackBerry. One thing that I found interesting.
Very nice Apple Watch. It has a timer on it. So we're on to the next topic, Sara, and it's yours.
All right. Well, I know Teresa's going to load up a video for me. But in the meantime, the one thing I want to say is, we think AI is everything. Do you know what Mark Harrington is doing at HealthWorks? I found out, taking out all his TVs in his cardio space. So we've got this flip. We've got this drive towards AI, and yet we have to focus on wellness and being a retreat place. Our gyms need to be a retreat. So I thought that I was like, whoa, that guy's getting rid of all his TVs. Mark is so innovative.
I wonder, they are. That's a neat group up there. Are they doing that because so many people are just bringing in their device and watching whatever they want on their device anyway? Right? I mean,
I don't think so. They got comments that they do not want to watch the news anymore. Well, I asked them that. They don't want to hear about Israel. They don't want to go into Ukraine.
Over 10 years ago, we made a rule. News, never, any TV, ever. It was one of the smartest things we ever did in our gyms. So we'd never have the news on, ever.
Very
never.
Cool. All right, Teresa,
we got our list
with
back
that
there,
video?
Sara, just in time.
There we go. Well, this is a fun video. Sorry about that black. We're getting some black on our videos.
I noticed that, yeah.
I really was looking at work-life balance because I think all of us on this call, we love what we do. I mean, we live, eat, and breathe the fitness industry, except Brent, of course, is sawing things and building stuff on the weekends or whatever. But we love what we do. We're very passionate about what we do. But looking at work-life balance, I got this email from this guy in this Aspen Bee thing, and it kind of scared me about the way he reviewed people that work at home, that he doesn't trust them, and that it's not good and there's no community. And that really motivated me to look at the productivity, accountability, supervision. You know, sometimes when you talk to somebody, you're just disconnected from them because all they can do is hit mute, turn off their video, thank you, send you a kind email, and then a scathing review chatting with a friend. And that's difficult to run a business like that. So a lot of companies, and I know most of us work in the gym, but we still have offsite staff, like your Group X coordinator, maybe your marketing division, your accounting, your accountants, even some of your salespeople are just working out of their homes. You don't have the connection. You don't have the affiliation. You lose that accountability. I don't think people are lazy when they work at home, but I do know they get distracted. I do. And I don't know if you guys feel that at all, but I thought it was an important topic to address.
In that article, he's talking about, and it is a bit of a scathing article on some group of people that are, there was some viral video the other day, this gal that just got her first, full-time job, and she was, almost crying, saying, I'm working 40 hours. I don't have time for anything else now. I have to figure out how I'm going to work out. And I'm thinking, what? So his part of what he was bringing up in that was, it's not just, work is part of life. It's part of life. You don't get wealthy by not working, and that you just gotta, and ideally you have a better work-life balance if the work that you do is something that you love to do, or at least or sort of enjoy doing. It doesn't have to be love, but
well, you spend the majority of your time, if you think about it, at work. With your family, you're lucky if you get it in the morning, you're lucky if you get it in the evening, and you squeeze time in the weekends.
I get it. You want to work part-time and make $200,000 a year and have time to go skiing and everything. Good luck. Right. Yeah. Just so I think that was a big part of that message. I said before, when we went into the pandemic, we had this thing, everybody's working from home, and it was great. I said, first chance, I want everybody back in the office. I will take that over my competitors, everybody working at home any day.
Well,
yeah. I hear you.
Yeah.
I like the phrase that we used here, Sara, that used work-life well-being versus work-life balance.
Yeah, much better.
I'm not a big believer in work-life balance. There's times when my personal life takes a higher balance amount of time. There's times when my work life takes higher. There's times when friends have needs. So balance is kind of a misconception. I will tell you, just like people's exercise patterns, people's work patterns are different. Some people don't do well working alone at home, and some people thrive in that environment, just like some people like one-on-one training and some people like group fitness, and so it's finding that right balance for the individual too, when there is offsite work, for their personality and work style. Are they energized and get more done when they're alone with not other colleagues, or are they somebody that can't focus and can't get it together without some accountability that needs to go in the office more often? And I think it's just again, everybody's figuring it out, but most of our corporate sites, people are coming back 2-3 times a week, even if they're not coming back full time.
That's what a lot of clubs, a lot of businesses, my husband's law firm, they require them to be in that office 2 to 3 times a week, 2 to 3 days a week, which is pretty amazing. And if you think about balance, if you're standing on one leg, balance is constantly vibrating, constantly going side to side. So I agree with you, Bill. I think it's quite a challenge.
One of the things really interesting, I'm at a work site right now where we run a corporate fitness center in Austin, Texas. And I was talking to the property manager, and our participation in our fitness center is about the same as it was pre-COVID, but there's only 35% as many cars in the parking lot on any given day as pre-COVID. People are coming to work, working out, and then going back home if they're not required to work in their offices. That is pretty remarkable. So,
Yeah.
But, to your point, Sarah, I just think it's, the whole thing is how do you balance it in an overall way to where your well-being is in the best optimization.
Yeah, good comments, everyone. I like that, Bill. That's a good, the 35% in the parking lot and they're coming just to go to the corporate wellness center and then back home. I mean, that's quite the statement for sure.
Yeah.
Well, they were telling me they count the cars every day, and it's not the same cars every day. So you could have 35% one day, another 40% the next day. But the point is that people are working not full 5 days, but people are coming to the gym at a close rate to as before. It's a beautiful gym.
Yeah.
Managed by active wellness centers.
Yes, I see your logo in the background too, twice, 3 times. All right, the next topic is mine, and it's the rucking trend. And my oldest son, who's in the Air Force Academy graduate in the Air Force and military, and I was telling him, "Oh, I've got to go take a break and do this talk show." And one of my topics is rucking, and he was just like incredulous. He's like, "Rucking, a new trend, eh?" I don't think so. I think the military has been doing that for decades. In fact, I think the Romans did rucking back in the day. This is nothing new. It was his point. And I was like, hold on. I'm just saying, we call it rucking, and it's like urban mountain climbing, hiking. The Wall Street Journal says it's a hot new trend. And so I thought I'd share that. And I'm being a little facetious and funny about it, but many of you have read the book called Outlive. Dr. Peter Attia is one of the, prolific authors of our time right now about longevity. And he's a huge rucking fan. And I have to admit that my wife and I had another wedding anniversary. It's 40 something years. And I got her a rucking backpack and weight to put in it for her anniversary.
Nice.
Thrilled.
Romantic.
You should all try that.
Romantic. Oh, God.
Went over really well. And so I actually did that. I did get her a little bit of a nice
time.
Yeah.
You better call me next time.
I got it covered.
Got her the rucking backpack and a Dyson vacuum cleaner to weight it down.
No, the rucking backpack. She walks with her girlfriend several times a week. And the truth is, even though we're making a little bit light of it, rucking is on a hot trend. There's groups that are forming around the country. They're meeting in the morning to go on these walks. And basically, rucking just means you're carrying something heavy like a backpack on your back. And you don't have to buy a special backpack. You can just put anything in there you want. Like a backpack, like you go hiking or backpacking with. But if you do want it to be a little tighter, the Go Rucking site offers backpacks with weights you can slide in 10, 15, 20, 30, 40 pounds. It's pretty neat. And what it does is it allows you to sort of get more out of walking. If you don't want to run because of your joints or something, it's about 3 times less stress on your knees and joints and hips walking rather than running. And if you're carrying sufficient weight, 20 pounds or so, then you can multiply the calories burned about 3 times what you would do walking without a backpack. Or if you're, walking with someone who's highly fit and the other person's not quite as fit, it can slow that person down and equalize, the training component of the walk. So it really is kind of a functional thing, although it seems like it's kind of silly they're calling it a hot new trend, but it is a hot new trend.
It's very much like thoroughbred horse racing, where you actually handicap some horses by having them carry extra weight.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
I'm still stuck on the anniversary gift, but I'm always looking for new trends. And interestingly enough, December 25th, George Clooney is coming out with Boys in the Boat. And that's a new movie about the rowing. I think in 2024, we're going to see some rowing trends coming in because
of the popularity of that movie. I'm wondering.
Yeah, it's going to be huge.
Don't you guys wonder, sometimes, how did that become a trend in our industry? Because it is a pure military thing. I mean, I've had more time. My son also in the Air Force. He was a PJ and now he's a JTAC. And that's what they do every day. And sometimes your kit might weigh almost 100 pounds and you're going to go on a 10-mile ruck. That's how it's so military. I think my dad was in the Korean War at the Chosin Reservoir. I think they did rucking.
It's
you know?
not just,
And so
it's not just a training modality. It's kind of a necessity. My dad was a paratrooper, and you're carrying 100 and maybe 140 pounds worth of equipment jumping out of an airplane on your back. So you got to be trained to be able to carry that and be able to be mobile. So,
I do like it though, because it's so adjustable, right? You can measure it. So I walk this distance in this time with this much weight. Then you do it again with a little more weight, and I love the progression of it. I'm glad it is. I just wonder sometimes how this stuff comes into being a trend.
well, let me
I
say
keep thinking, why are you rucking? Like you've got this weight on your back. Just I think of women being pregnant and carrying, 20, 30 extra pounds.
Yeah.
The ultimate rucking. Sorry, gotta put the female spin on that.
You got to have
All
healthy
right.
balance. Real quick on that though, ankle weights. Remember ankle weights?
Yes.
Well, it was weight vests, right? There were weight vests, and yeah.
Kettlebells were way before dumbbells. Dumbbells were an improvement on the safety of kettlebells.
Right.
And now we have kettlebells, it's not a trend now, but it came back as a trend, but it was the original.
Now everybody has them, but everybody has them now. I want to say one more comment what Sara said about boys in the boat. It's just not about any boat. It's about the most epic crew team in history from the University of Washington. The most likely win, and one of the best books ever written, Boys in the Boat. True
What
story.
university was that again, you said?
University of Washington. I don't know. You might have seen him play University of Southern California this last weekend. Yeah.
All right, moving on. Our next one is expanded wellness, Bill.
Yeah, and Brent, I want to comment that you're right on track today. We're pacing perfectly.
Thank you, sir.
Expanding wellness is a big category. I saw in Leisure Opportunities this article about Qantas Airlines. They're got 12 Airbus A350s coming out in 2025, new fleet, and they're putting wellness centers in these planes. And it's a big deal to me for several reasons. One is if you put a wellness center in an airplane, you lose seat capacity. So instead of having 300 plus seats, they're only going to have 238 seats. And so that's a lot of revenue that they're willing to give up there, unless they, increase the pricing, obviously. But they're going to have stretching activities, exercise activities, lighting, and a set active area on the airplane, a wellness little area in the plane for you to get out of your seat and go exercise. And they found that, not only does it improve sleep on the plane and all the things with the timing of the food and the lighting and all that, but it dramatically reduces your jet lag over the next 2 days where you're traveling internationally. So that's kind of wild, that airlines are going to have fitness centers on international flights, and Qantas is really stepping out on that. We got sleep now being the next big thing. We went through hydration and we went through nutraceuticals, and now sleep is the be all have all. There's U.S. longevity centers, longevity club that has serotonin centers now, and we're now getting consensus around hormone replacement therapy by all the modern longevity experts that if you don't have major risk factors in your family or personally with regard to cancers and such, the benefits far outweigh the risk of hormone replacement therapy if you're doing it balanced. So you're seeing a lot more things happen with expanded wellness besides activity and nutrition. It used to be eat right, exercise, eat right, exercise. Now it's nutraceuticals, hormone replacement, mood with all the different modalities with regard to infrared. So just again, I challenge our industry not to be myopically focused on movement and exercise and training and working out, but to be focused on a holistic approach that expands upon somebody's overall well-being from all angles. What do you guys think?
Yeah. Sara shared, but before I say this, Teresa, if possible, could you turn the chat on for everyone? I see it's only for panelists and staff right now. It'd be nice if you can do that. Sara shared the Global Wellness Economic Report, and you just look at some of the numbers in there, and it so supports what you're saying. Just some of the categories that are up from 2019, spas up 92% over 2019, workplace wellness up 97% over 2019. Public health prevention and personalized medicine That's a lot of what you're talking about, personalized medicine. Up 171% on 2019. It's stunning, some of the numbers in this report. And it sure supports, like, you know, I'm waiting for the big boom in Wenatchee. I mean, it sure supports a lot more experimentation, and that's what you're seeing, like with Qantas. There's a lot more. That's what you're seeing with Lifetime. That's what you're seeing with
and you're also seeing it at airports throughout the world. They're opening like little tiny yoga studios. There's one in Denver, you know, so in the airport. And then they also have the spas that they had closed, and now they're opening them at the airport where you can get a massage and you can get a manicure, and, you know, I mean, in the airport, because I think they've got people who have layovers, but I also think people are using it.
Yeah,
it is. The hydration and the IVs and the energy with the IVs and hydration, and, you know, I mean, people are looking at things, you know, and even if the IV stuff isn't permanently solution, it makes you feel better for several days, which allows you to do other things to improve your health. And, you know,
Gail Bannister-Munn, who is the Pilates and flexibility coach for the Jets, says during halftime, they'll start doing the IVs, replenishing the athletes.
Sure.
And it's, I mean, in every, you know, and they do it sometimes in the morning, they come in hungover, but it's all over the place. And I agree with you, Bill. I think we're really focusing on the wellness, and I'm seeing that in meditation and gentle options for fitness programming, especially like on a Friday evening, something like that. And the retreats are huge. Retreats are a wonderful way for gyms to build a deeper community. And it's also very important for them. They can make some extra revenue.
Yeah.
And I did see a comment, Blair, thank you for bringing that up. I think it was from Trisha Harrison, was talking about the reason that she thinks that certifications are down is she thinks the cost of them are up. And you know what? I agree with you. SCW does a thing where we do the code CERT 100, CERT 100, and everybody gets $100 off their online cert, and then they get their live course free within a year. And I think you're right. I think the prices went up and it scared people going back in. So we're trying to address that. Thank you for bringing that up.
Okay. All right, Sara, you're on the docket again with informed consent. Put your attorney hat on.
I'm putting my attorney hat on. I'm like, my mother would roll over in her grave. Okay. This is really kind of cool. It was from Planet Fitness. And the reason I got very motivated to look at this case was that I went into a Planet Fitness in Boston when I was just visiting my son. I walked in, I think I told you guys this. I walked in, the girl at the front desk was like, Blair, she was the picture of support, smiling at me, welcoming me. And I said, well, should I take out a membership? Can I buy a pass? And she said, oh no, just work out. And I said, don't you want me to sign any piece of paper? And she said, no. And I just went into the gym. I injured myself and now I'm going to retire. Just kidding. There was a lawsuit, and it was a kiosk waiver because I think everybody's getting automated. So when you go into Planet Fitness, you can walk into a kiosk and you can simply click a button, or you can also scribble your signature and the waiver of liability comes up. And this woman walks into a Planet Fitness as a friend of one of the members. Okay, as a friend of one of the members. And this woman had walked in, you ready for this? 21 times for free. I'm like, I hate people like that. Okay, that's all I'm going to say. But she signed the waiver. She voluntarily accepted full responsibility for the risk of injury or loss arising out of my use of the facility, blah, blah, blah. Pretty interesting stuff. They upheld the waiver of liability. And this was in California. California is a different planet anyway, but sometimes different states look at the way this is an appellate court. They upheld this. Pretty cool. So if do a good waiver, you guys, and get it up online because it's upheld in court, it's got to be visible. They've got to understand what they're signing, and you can't be too litigious in the way that you, or use too much legalese when you're writing your waiver. But if you're doing normal care, you know, it's going to be upheld. This woman went in, she sat down on an ab coaster. The weight that on the ab coaster fell off, hit her ankle, and that was the injury. So you just have to make sure that your waiver kind of has foreseeable stuff in it. Like, can I get COVID? Can I get a bacterial infection? Can I get a sprain, a strain? Could I die? Could I miscarry? You list all those things, all those risks. And it doesn't even really matter if these people read it, which is kind of frightening.
That was, that
I
was
have a good tip from Ken Reining, who runs Reining Insurance, does a lot of insurance for a lot of the clubs in the industry. And he was a guest at one of my events recently, and we were asking him some of the hot topics. And one of the things he reinforced with everybody is not only to have a great waiver, Sarah, he agrees with you 100%. He also reminds all the club owners that, hey, if an injury occurs, in addition to writing your incident report, if there's any part that's involved, keep the part, label it, keep it, do not throw it away. If the cable's broken or the handle's not working or treadmill's broke, don't get rid of it until at least 3 years have passed, when the time for a lawsuit could have passed. A lot of club members thought that was great because they're throwing away stuff thinking, okay, I've already got it written down, I got a picture of it. No, keep the part. We said,
Well,
and the other thing is take a video and get that person immediately to the hospital. You know, call an ambulance. And if they won't go, get it on video. I'm fine, I don't want to go. And the other thing is, get yourself some decent insurance. I can't stand some of the insurance policies out there. They don't cover the litigation. They only cover you if you're found to be negligent. 98% of the lawsuits never, ever go to court. So you've got to find a good insurance company. There is a company, they do a membership. It's called Alternative Balance. And what I really like is it's not expensive. Instructors can afford it. Personal trainers can afford it. Because if you walk out of the gym and you're training someone out of their home, or you're doing it in a church basement, or whatever you're doing, you need your own insurance, and you need to make sure that it covers the litigation so that they can settle and you don't lose your family home.
Yeah, what were you going to say, Bill?
Well, most of the property and casualty for businesses does cover litigation, but the individual policies on individual providers doesn't.
But it doesn't cover your liability. It'll cover like a trip and fall, but it doesn't cover liability if anything, if you get injured during an activity.
Ours do. But to your point, make sure you have the coverages you need. And I have a great insurance program if anybody wants to ever reach out to me on it. Not mine, but that we use.
I thought one of the key things in that article, Sarah, that I was happy to see was all of the arguments that the plaintiff had, and how the court struck those down. They said, no, just because you couldn't see the entire waiver with the signature on one thing, you're not excused from it. You know, and just because, you know, it was small, it was big enough to read, but they sort of struck down everything that she said. Well, it can't be, you know, this isn't a good waiver because it's, you know, egregious that, you know, I couldn't see the whole waiver when I signed it. No, sorry. That was actually, you know, hope there.
And people are also putting those, you know, people sign those things on your phone. You know, if you can look at Instagram, babe, you can read a waiver. You know, you can blow it up. We all know how to do that, except for Brent. But we all, you know, you can't do it on a BlackBerry.
Yeah.
Well,
waivers are good.
Even beyond your tight waiver, it doesn't excuse contributory negligence and your actions as an operator. So having a good risk management program is not just having a great waiver and great insurance. It's having a good risk management program. So, you know, because a lot of courts will throw out the waiver if there's contributory negligence and or disallow it for certain reasons. And sometimes the waiver won't come into it until appeal, and you spend a lot of money at that point. So, you know, don't use your insurance and your waiver as a risk management program. Continue with your risk management processes.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying.
We need to move on.
Oh,
We need to
sorry.
move on, Sarah. So let's jump to Blair. I know these aren't turning red and gold for us. So I'm having to keep us on track. So Blair,
Okay.
take us to weight loss drugs.
Well, and specifically, it was really about a program that Lifetime again is piloting. So they made an announcement on CNBC the other day where they have seen some demand from their members. And if you, and you know, you go to some of these Lifetimes and there's the housing attached and there's, you know, whatever else, they have workspaces and restaurant, and you could see how this starts to become kind of whole and integrated here. And so they are piloting a program where they will use physicians, physician's assistants, nurse practitioners. They will do the entire battery of tests to see if you are a candidate for Wegovy or Ozempic. But it won't be a single point solution. You'll be given a training program, and this had me really start to search more and more about like what are other physicians saying out there. And I happen to know there's a company that is starting up that is going to be doing prescriptions of this for weight loss, but only if the person gets with a personal trainer. That's going to be the requirement to follow up, because they're saying it's not a single point solution. You of course lose muscle mass, and the answer to that is, you know, investigate their diet, make sure they have enough protein, and make sure they're doing real weight training. I have been saying for quite a while that I think we have such an opportunity, and I know a lot of people might be against these weight loss drugs, but they're not going away. They're, you know, why they do have some negative side effects that, you know, some more than others. They're also finding more positive things with them. So they're gonna ramp up. This semaglutide is gonna ramp up fast. And, you know, as people that don't exercise begin to lose weight, they're far more likely to exercise. And I feel like in some areas, especially that are heavy on medical centers and that, you know, if you could figure out some way to understand just how much people are using those drugs, I think there's a programming opportunity, and Lifetime's jumping way out ahead of it by piloting something and actually just saying we're going to do it. And if you notice, like Noom is doing something with this now too. You know, Noom, the app for weight loss, yeah, they're doing something now with semaglutide. So.
Yep. Bill, having some of the facilities that you guys run or manage, aren't y'all offering some of these weight loss drugs on and through your medical services, or are you not yet?
No, absolutely not. And probably won't be. The off use of Ozempic, you know, and, you know, all the glutides, the off-brand use for weight loss on people that are moderately want to lose a few pounds is becoming an epidemic proportions if you look at social media. And if your body loses, as you know from Cooper and all your medical background, Brent, you lose more than 1 or 2 pounds a week, you know, properly, you have a skin issue. And so the Ozempic face is a real deal. And I can look online and tell women that are on Ozempic. And because the rapid weight loss creates saggy skin, because you lose fat in your face just like you use fat everywhere else. And then you wind up using filler or plasma or fat injections to fill the skin. And after you stop using Ozempic, especially if you go cold turkey, it's reported that your skin doesn't ever go all the way back. So now you're on another routine of maintenance with your facial type deal. And so if you use it, you need to use it under medical supervision. And for obese people, which it was developed for in diabetic and all that, with blood sugar stuff, great. But when you're using it off label for cosmetic uses, you really want to do it under medical supervision so you can do it in a way that times out the weight loss to your desires so your skin can adjust to the weight loss. And people aren't doing that. And man, the list: inflammation of the pancreas, the change in vision, the low blood sugar, the kidney problems, the gallbladder problems, the stomach paralysis. You know, a lot of these things are more common off prescription, because they're not being regulated by a true medical professional. And so I say, you know, the FDA warns, the box warning on it is, you know, thyroid tumors, you know, so you gotta, you know, if it sounds too good to be true, it might be.
I would add this, and
But sorry, go ahead, Bill. Go ahead,
I
Blair.
think
Yeah,
for the label, for what it's supposed to do with obesity and getting people active and helping them, great. For people using off prescription, be careful.
yeah.
And would you call it, Bill, Ozempic face? That's a real saying, or you
Yeah.
made that up?
No,
Well,
Google it.
Anybody who loses weight is
Yeah,
gonna
but,
have
but
saggy
most people
skin.
don't lose weight that rapidly. It's the rapid weight loss that causes it.
Right.
And this drug is so effective at rapid weight loss. It gaunts your face, saggy wrinkles. Then you use filler. I'm telling you, it's out there and it's specific to the rapid.
Well, and according to ACSM, there was a study done after 68 weeks. They lost 16% body fat with the anti-obesity medication, and the weight loss people who did exercise and combined it with a lifestyle, they lost 5.7% of body fat. So I do agree that it goes very rapidly. And I'm not an advocate of this by any stretch of the imagination, but there are people that are just predisposed genetically to being overweight. And this was a fantastic drug, especially for diabetics. But I totally agree that it's got to be under medical supervision.
And if
So
you're on
that's
it,
what,
and if you're on it,
and
don't stop suddenly. If you're on it, don't stop suddenly. You got to wean off the right way with medical supervision.
yeah, and that's what it looks like Lifetime is really leaning into. And I hope we have time to get back to a lot of the comments, all the way back to comment about rucking injuries and the Joe Rogan comment, and also this one from Debbie Bellinger about the keynote at MFA last week with Dr. John Bonet, I'm gonna guess, spoke to this in medical fitness centers. There are 70 more AOMs in the queue for approval to hit the market in pill and serum form. So
Yeah.
that's
a big
70.
number.
Yeah, 3.6 million Americans are taking an AOM, and it's estimated that it'll increase by 35% by the end of this year.
Wow.
And Sarah, for those in the audience, what does AOM stand for?
Anti-obesity medication.
Thank you.
Assistant Operations Manager.
And I'm not criticizing Ozempic or Wegovy for their drug. I'm just talking about using things, abusing things that have great purpose.
Yeah.
And
Good
you know
comment.
what ACSM talked about? They talked about it's going to require appropriately trained and certified exercise professionals that want to work with these type of patients. So they're going to develop a training protocol to encourage them to exercise.
This is a ridiculously huge opportunity for our industry, and it's going to be it's going to have a lot of value. People are going to pay more for it.
Yeah, good comments. Okay, our last topic is for me, and it's started. The title here says "Hottest New Office," and the Wall Street Journal finished that sentence with "The hottest new office is in the gym." So this is not new, but I just want to give a couple updates on it because it's really exploding out there. Through leading these roundtables, as many of you know, we go and visit and tour health clubs all across the U.S., and particularly the ones that we've been touring lately. Most recently in New York, Lifetime, their newest fitness centers are dedicating huge spaces in their lobby and entrances for co-working spaces. Chelsea Piers, which is opening new clubs, they're opening a 60,000 spectacular club in the Heights area, their Brooklyn Heights. And of the 60,000 square feet, they're dedicating 4,000 of it to sort of this office working space. Blair was with me. We toured another club that Chelsea Piers is opening there in New York. Huge multi-purpose facility, lots of kids activities. And once again, they're dedicating really nice high-end spaces for WeWorking. Some of the clubs that we're visiting are also adding some privacy areas because that's been one of the complaints about some of these WeWork spaces being in a gym is that people can't get the privacy they need sometimes for Zoom meetings or phone calls. So now clubs are building out sort of little, I hate to call them phone booths, but in essence, that's what they are. A little larger than what we would have seen back in the day with payphones, but nevertheless, they're enclosed private phone booths that people can rent out for time. And then my good friend Tom Fiorini, who runs the Cincinnati Sports Clubs, has reported that some of his members have come to him and asked, how much of my membership dues is really going for these sort of co-working, WeWorking spaces versus dues? And of course, his answer was, well, all of it really goes toward dues for the fitness center. We're giving you the co-working spaces at no cost. What they really wanted to do was they wanted him to bill them for the co-working spaces instead of dues, because their companies would reimburse them fully for renting out co-working spaces, which was really interesting. So my point in bringing this up again is, it's become a prolific thing in all the new design clubs that I've seen. Every single club that was under construction that I went in the last year, traveling around the US, had some sort of a co-working space. That's number one. And number two, they're upping the game on how nice these spaces are. They're not converted racquetball courts or old offices. I mean, they're, nice tables, good internet connection, good seating, good tables. And of course, it makes more sense for those clubs that are, I would say, multi-purpose, that while they're there, they can serve them things from the cafe, from the spa. So they're having availability not only to make money on the WeWork spaces, but also to generate additional funds through some of the other ancillary services they provide. So that was my point in having it on the list. Go ahead, Blair. You were with me and you saw some of those. They were
amazing. They're amazing. Think of it more like really high-end airport lounge. That has kind of the enclosed booth kind of seating, and somebody could actually do a Zoom and just be in a chair, or easy to get to refreshments, and now think about what Sarah's topic was earlier about work-life well-being, work-life balance. This is all sort of blending into that. In that Wall Street Journal article, the first gal that they talk about, how much she spends the entire day at the gym, the entire day, because she goes in.
That's one of the things that Stephen Schwartz, I did a fireside chat with him at Midwest Mania, which is in Chicago. And he was talking about Midtown. He says, if people are not staying in my gym for 3 hours, I don't want them. He wants he wants it to be a destination, a place they can stay, they can get something to eat, they can do some work, they can drop their kid off in childcare. It's a whole lifestyle. Very interesting.
Yeah. And now we all saw that WeWork just filed for bankruptcy.
Right.
They went, up and then just absolutely crashed. But of course, the pandemic didn't freaking help them either.
Oh yeah, you also have the the strategic thought of threat of substitution. Every hotel, every workplace,
right,
every club
exactly
has a space now. So you have a threat of substitution in addition to the pandemic.
Right. That's exactly where I was going, Bill, is that, as people start to figure out this, and to me, there's so many of these topics tie together, this work-life balance thing, and how the investments and bets that Lifetime is making, that Equinox is making, that some of these big companies that are luxury brands and have some real cash, the experiments that they're doing that seem to be really working, right? And
I'm in a space right now in this corporate site that I'm at that has 6 or so private offices along a wall that people can reserve or just grab. So if you don't want to be in a cube or where you're working, you can come down here and be alone. And I've been in here doing this whole webinar in a little private closed off little cubicle kind of thing that's got a whiteboard and power and all the bells and whistles, and it's just awesome. And so
it comes with Active Wellness logos in it. That's amazing.
Right?
And I'm at a hotel, and this workout center at the hotel is almost as big as the center I go to at home, and is gorgeous, brand new equipment. It's beautiful, and people are really using it.
Yeah.
And I get very disappointed if I go to a fitness center and they don't have a yoga class in the morning. They all have their yoga classes. I know, don't laugh at me, Bill, but I have priorities. Like when I'm looking on hotels.com,
I just thought how we got to yoga from workplaces, and I just
Okay, Bill, are you still up for wrapping us up today? Take a couple
real
notes.
quick, and then we can do some Q&A. Shifting markets, just paying attention to what's going on around us, surround sound kind of deal. Then we had Blair with Anytime and Apple Fitness Plus, and Apple's also opening up that fitness to all Apple subscribers versus those that just have to watch. So you're going to see more and more of that. We had Sara coming in with work-life well-being, which I think is a great way she's captured that topic. How do you optimize your whole well-being around your life? And we also hit into the balance aspects and the challenges of that. Brent brought us back to rucking, and we talked about what's old and new again, and how things that are practical in the military and practical in other aspects of life become trends in the fitness industry. We had some nice comments in the chat box about that. Then we talked about expanded wellness. That was, again, my topic, and some of the things that other people are doing, some of the shifts with regard to holistic approaches, Quantus, IVs, and such. And then Sara brought us back again to informed consent and waivers and insurance and the importance of looking at that whole process. Sara was gracious enough to offer to share a sample waiver. While she is a lawyer, every state's different. So you use hers as a benchmark with your operation. Maybe run it by your own lawyer, as well. But her resources that she's sharing are very gracious and generous of her. Then we went into weight loss drugs, which seemed to be a really hot topic amongst the group. And we all expressed the pros and cons. It is a major programming opportunity, but let's do it right. Let's not be, snake oil and do things that are harming healthy people, and make sure we don't get out of our lane on that. And then we had Brent bringing us into the hottest new office at the club, and what clubs are doing with regard to workspaces and understanding that whole phenomena to keep people there. If people spend more time with us, they are more connected emotionally to us, and they will spend more money with us. And if they're with us more and spending more money and doing more things, they'll get better results. So it's a vicious positive cycle.
Yeah, great job, Bill. Thank you for doing that. Blair, you were keeping a good eye on some of the comments on the chat. You want to pick one or two out and kind of respond back or make a comment about those before we wrap it up?
Sure. Yeah. The question about, do we think the accompanying increase in musculoskeletal and joint issues from the rucking trend? I would say absolutely yes. I mean, in the military, those guys suffer a lot of injuries like that. Rucking. A lot of times they're jogging with, a ruck pack with 100 pounds in it. And Arizona said, I think
But Blair, we also have to say, whatever comes into vogue, somebody's going to figure out a way that they're going to get injured. Like pickleball. Oh my God, it's terrible for your knees and it's bad for your back and your
and a lot of people. A lot of people over 65 are doing pickleball and trying to move fast and tripping over their feet and breaking their wrist. And since I think Joe Rogan had a lot to do with the rucking trend. He's been talking about rucking for a long time and has guests like Peter Attia, Cameron Haynes, and David Goggins on his podcast who are big fans of rucking. So that's cool.
Well, they do say about rucking, Blair, to your point, they're not suggesting the general population carry 100-pound packs, right? You start with a 10 or a 20, just give yourself a little resistance. So like anything, don't jump off the edge of the cliff with, making it too extreme. Ease into it a little bit.
Ease into it a bit. Yeah.
All right. Well, everyone, we thank you again. We're out of time. I can tell because my iPhone here tells me that it's time to wrap it up today. But we really do appreciate y'all staying with us today. And if you've been with us all year, we're so thankful for that. We want to wish you all a fantastic Thanksgiving and holiday season coming up. And we're still in the works figuring out exactly what we're going to do this next year. But you'll probably see all of us again as we start 2024, and we hope to see you then. Thanks for joining us today. Thanks again to my esteemed colleagues and to ABC for sponsoring this show all year long. We appreciate that so much. Take care.
A special shout out to Teresa, who
yes,
we made it happen, and Mark, who got on as well. Thank you both.
And IHRSA for being such a great partner with us.
Absolutely. Bye, y'all.